One. Hey guys, I'm live with Dr. Mo, aka Singodontist, all the way from the very, very warm climates of Arizona. Hey Mo, how you doing? How's things?
Good, good. How are you,
I'm
Dr.
good.
Majid?
Hopefully, we're gonna have a nice chat today. We've been having little chinwag just before we started, obviously, so got to know each other a little bit, and we've actually got some friends in common. Student Dr. Sameh, who's a good friend of mine. We catch up quite regularly, so it's nice to add someone else into my circle.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I know Dr. Samah too, and student Dr. Samah.
Soon,
So I
soon,
am a
Dr.
student,
Sameh.
and yeah, soon Dr. Samah. Yes, exactly. Um, yeah, I'm very excited to do this, and hopefully we get to know each other a little bit more, and for people to get to know us more.
Yeah, you sent in some really amusing reels to me not so long ago, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately that song is stuck in my head, and I almost don't like you for it because it's so catchy. But
That's why a lot of people don't like me because of that. Get this song sketched in their head.
yeah, because it's that annoying. It's that one from what's that, Madagascar, right? Was that the one that I listened to?
Which one?
Dr. Mo in the
Which one?
house or something.
Oh yeah, the WAP
Yeah.
song from Cardi
Oh, was
B.
it Cardi B one? Yeah,
It is Cardi B one. This is a new one.
and it was just stuck in my head, and yeah, I couldn't shake it.
It's a catchy
I
song.
couldn't shake it.
It's a catchy song.
But tell me a bit about yourself. You're in Arizona. I know you like your cosmetic dentistry. I know you are doing a little bit of everything though. Um, how have you got to where you are?
So just to back off a little bit, I'm originally from Iraq. I was born and raised there. I stayed there in Iraq for 18 years. That's when after the war happened, I we ended up going to Jordan,
Mm,
and I wanted to do my career, started my career in dentistry, but unfortunately, there was no such thing as financial aid to support my program. So I decided to take a different path because my family couldn't afford it. So I did computer engineering, just because I thought I like computers. Computer engineering might be something similar. Bad idea. I really didn't like it. So I ended up actually doing it 3 years, 3.5 years, and then almost 4 years. And that's when US were able to take us as refugees, and that's how I came in 2009 here. And I still remember at that time when I was talking with my brother about my career path, whether I should do something that I like, which is the
yeah.
dentistry, because since I was a kid, I broke my front two teeth, and I always were self-conscious about how I looked without my baby teeth. Um, so since then, it was in my head that I wanted to be that guy that will fix those issues, you
So
know.
what happened to your teeth then?
But when
Let's
I came,
dive into that because we
yeah,
this is the most
absolutely. So what
interesting part of
happened is that
dentistry is what dentistry we all had.
yeah, it's like why did we go dentistry? No, but when I was around 5 years old, 4 years old, I don't remember exactly. I was working with my uncle who lives actually in Florida right now. He used to visit us a lot in Iraq. So I was working with my uncle crossing the bridge, and obviously accidents happen, and incident happens. So I walked and I fell off, and I broke literally my front two teeth. Like they were gone, so they had to extract them or something like that. But it wasn't until 7 years old when I had my permanent teeth actually come out instead of 6 years
Right.
old, which is the average age of when you have your front two teeth. So that 3 years, those 3 years were always something big to me. That's when I get to know a little bit more about teeth and dentistry. You know what I mean? Even though I'm a kid,
Mm.
but that's when I realized that I wanted to become a dentist.
Yeah, and it's actually
Um,
quite typical if someone's lost the front two teeth, to actually have it erupt later because it thickens up, doesn't it? Your gingiva will thick up pretty significantly.
It makes yeah,
Yeah.
it makes total sense. So yeah, so that's why when I came here and I was talking with my brother, I remember my brother was sitting on this recliner, and I told him I was like, so should I like evaluate, convert my classes, my degree from Jordan and do a couple of years here in the U.S. and get my bachelor degree in computer engineering, or should I start from scratch and do what I always wanted to do? But that will take like a lot of years. So I remember till this day, which is an important part for all of us to know. My brother told me it's not about a year or 2 years or 9 years. It's about your lifetime and what do you want to do for the rest of
Yeah,
your
you
life.
don't want to be stuck in
And I
something.
think that was Correct. And that was the wake up call for me where I was like, okay, this is it. And literally from that point on, 9 years later, I became a dentist, and I was very happy that I was able to do
Yeah,
that.
I think it's probably worth it, and it's if you really know what you're after, it makes no sense to go down a different route when you're always thinking, well, it's not really what I wanted to do. I still have this idea that something else might be the thing for me. I mean, for me, it's very different because I wanted to be a Premier League footballer, so it's not like I can for sure say it was going to happen. Uh, I claim yes, but who knows? But it's one of those things. Everyone wants to be a Premier League footballer. I'm just kind of kidding there, but getting into the right career and getting into a career that you like, it's so important, right?
Oh, absolutely. And talking about Premier League, I am a huge football fan. I mean, I played soccer so much, and the reason why I call it soccer is because it's here soccer, but I call it football in general.
Yeah.
But what happened is that I tore my right ACL, my right knee ACL, and I actually broke my forearm. I don't know if you can tell, but
I can see the
literally,
sky. Yeah.
yep. I don't remember if Samah was there. I think he was playing with us maybe, but it wasn't that day. But yeah, I had almost a compound fracture, but it was horrible. I was 2 months off from work, and I had to make a hard decision of stop playing soccer, because once I play soccer, I feel like I'm a Lionel Messi, but I'm not.
I think it's one of those, especially if you're not quite fit. You can be, if you get into a bad tackle or something like that, you don't have that physical resilience to bounce back from it, or even have that protection of musculature and stuff like that to get away from it. And especially if you're breaking arms, then that can be quite difficult.
Well, I will tell you this honestly. When I play soccer, I forget everything else. So the problem that I did a scissor kick in a pickup game where I probably should.
Maybe, maybe not.
I literally told my friends that the reason why it all happened is because I was doing the scissor kick, and in the mid-air, that millisecond of thinking is like, wait a second, I'm a dentist, I shouldn't do this, and that slight decision made it worse, and I fell on one arm instead of my body, and that was just horrible. So yeah.
Yeah, I tend to have the same trouble. I mean, we started playing five-a-side since um, lockdown has eased a little bit, but even then, I can feel myself wanting to dive in and really get
Yeah.
stuck in and stuff. And my history of injuries is really, really poor when it comes to contact injuries. I've never injured myself in the gym. I actually
Gotcha.
never injured myself playing rugby, football, twisting, turning, getting kicked, elbowed, all sorts of things. That's crazy, right? Playing rugby, which
It's
never.
yeah. I was about to say, I'm like, rugby is like this is probably gonna be the most interest, but that again, like, you wouldn't be surprised. Like honest, like I play basketball a little bit too, but never had an ACL issue, which is usually common there, or ankle issues. But it's all happened with soccer. So
Yeah, it's very strange because you might think actually, you're going into so much contact, always into
yeah,
heavy contact. But I think it's because you're expecting the contact and you're making the contact, and you're braced. Whereas you're running through with the ball,
exactly,
someone just boots you. That's
exactly.
very different situation. So I think that's
No,
probably what it
I
is.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. So sorry,
I
I
agree.
I dived in on what happened to your teeth, and we ended
It's all
up
good.
talking about football somehow. So you
Yeah, no. So
no, go
sorry.
for it. I want to hear more of the story.
No, yeah. So basically, that's what happened is that after the injury, I came here, and I decided to do my path of dentistry, and I did it. And even though, like, within the 9 years of me basically doing my dental path, and I mean, in the last 2 years, 3 years, you always wonder, you always have that devil in you, and like, is this the right path for you? Is this the right path for you? But honestly, sometimes that one patient, that two patients that you encounter, and they just assure you that yes, this was the career that was meant for you. And I was lucky enough to encounter that patient in my dental school, actually.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that's important, on a personal level as well. Being able to, for me, it was more the surgical aspect, and being able to do something very intricate, which attracted
Yeah,
me to it, and also in dentistry in the UK, there's no night shifts for sure. So That's what pushed me away from a medical degree, which I was also interested in, but also towards the dental because it fit other lifestyle factors. You know, you can have a bit more social life, a bit more, you know, 3 days I'll do this, 2 days I'll do that, or you know, I can do different things. So that's kind of what pushed me that way as well. So I think we hear the same things from a lot of dentists who say, why did you do dentistry? And we've all got, you know, a mixture of the same kind of motivations in different quantities.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So then you were at Samish school. So how was that? How did you find that dental school experience? You know, you said you've had this life-changing patient there. Can you tell us a bit more about him or her as well?
Yeah. So when I started my career of basically doing schooling and stuff like that, I usually get the question of like, how were you able? How did you? Was it easy to make it to dental school and everything like that? Nothing is easy, but everything is easy if you put the work into it.
Mm,
That's my life motto. You know what I mean? If you work hard, you will make it. So I will tell you this: my DAT score was my English score was horrible. I got 15, and I don't mind sharing it with the world right now, but because the other scores were much better and certain schools were able to give me interviews and two of them gave me acceptance letters and because they saw that English is my second language.
yeah.
You know, I can't just excel at it in 7 or 5 years or 6 years. So seeing that I was able to develop obviously more better skills in speaking and everything like that. But the reason personally why I chose my school, AT still ASDO pretty much, is because of how much care they have for their students, but at the same time, how much they develop you as a dentist when you graduate. Where I tell a lot of people is that there are very few schools when you graduate from, you are ready.
Yeah.
There is always fear. Don't take me wrong. There is always going to be fear of like, am I ready? Am I ready? Because think about it. Logically, to our brain, we've been studying our entire lives. So for to come one day and be like after the fourth year, oh, I'm gonna start working and not studying anymore. That's a huge is like a huge huge decision to make,
Yeah,
So some people,
we for anyone who's listening, we still do have to do, you know, CE or whatever you call it in your country. There's different
oh
different
yeah,
different words, but yeah, the majority of that work is finished by then, isn't it? Um, unless you're gonna go and specialize, which you know could be fun, you know, because you get to become much higher level. Is that something you thought about?
In the beginning, I thought of going to ortho because I liked fixing teeth and aligning them. Because, like I said, I was always interested in
Yeah.
cosmetics because obviously with my past of how cosmetics was a big deal for me. Um, but with generation and with technology, and specifically, I would say with Invisalign for me. And this is not to promote anything like that, but more of like being the general dentist being able to easily to a certain extent, easily be able to perform braces and ortho for their patients. That is what the moment for me was like. You know what? I don't per se like the loop life of just fixing and doing brace all the time.
Mm.
I like to get into the veneers. I like to get into the implants and all those things. So I realized in my second year is that general dentistry is more the aspect that I wanted to focus
Yeah.
on.
Do you enjoy having the same people come back and see you again and again?
Absolutely, absolutely, and be able to be the home for them. I mean, my favorite patients are those who actually get scared of the dentist, because for me, that's the challenge that I will take to tell them and educate them about. Look, like I had two patients who literally the moment they saw me, they're like, "I hate you guys," and I was like, "Wait a second, do you hate me and my team, or do you hate me and the other dentist?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, I hate you and the other dentist." I was like, "Well, guess what? I hate me and the other dentist too." And we break the ice right then and there. You know what I mean? And we start creating a better rapport between all of us. But the reason why I say those are my favorite patients, and not to obviously distinguish between one another or pick one or the other, but because it's a more challenge to change something in them. Because think about it, the stereotype that we have is not that ideal, and unfortunately, it's for generations a generation that we have to impact with life.
Mm.
Which is also another reason why I went with a Singodontist, which we'll get into in a second. But I like I'm able to build a rapport with them, and I love it when I see them like 3, 4 times later, and now it's like a totally different person that I met the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
It's
yeah,
it gives you a different kind of satisfaction. I think there's so many different types of satisfaction within our career. You know, there's the internal satisfaction if you're doing something like an endo where you've, negotiated something difficult and you feel like you've done a really good job and that was a difficult one. And then there's, satisfaction where, like you say, there's anxious patients coming in, and then there's similar satisfaction of the overall the life of being a dentist. There's very different ways of having that, so I think it's nice to know what you like, for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So this patient that you talking to me about, the one
Oh
from
yeah.
dental school.
So this patient was, I believe, he was between 10 to 12 years old. I don't remember exactly the age, but he had a developmental issue where he was missing half of his maxillary teeth. So he had pretty much, I would say, 9 through like 13, 14, and then obviously 15 was developing by that age, but he was missing pretty much the right side. So I remember when the way dental school it works is that you're assigned to your patients, right? So with those kind of complex patients, they come in and they go to the specialty department, and then they see which student doctor is there, so they can take care of that case. So I remember we had a student doctor that was interested in going to ortho, and we had one specialist that is in radiology, one specialist that is in pedo, and one specialist that was in oral surgery. They were all there, and I wasn't even there. I was just walking by,
Yeah.
and the pedodontist would ask me, where are you interested in going after you graduate? I'm like, well, I'm going to be a general dentist. He was like, okay, come here. This is going to be your patient. So it started like that, and this patient basically had a little young sister, and his mom was there. Um, and we basically started working up a treatment plan where we are doing for him partial denture.
Mm.
uh, uh, every like 3 or 6 months we will do a partial denture, because it depends on the growth and how unstable that partial denture is, since his maxillary is growing. um, but the goal was up to age 18, when everything gets more settled. That's when we are able to place more like a mini implants and something like that. um, but the point or the goal why that story was very important is because I've seen that patient multiple times, and over the time, the rapport that I was built with him was actually less than the rapport I was building with his sister, because his sister was always watching us, and she likes coming to us and like in the dentist, you
Yeah,
know.
liking to see what's going on
And
because it's a bit different. It's quite interesting if you're not the one having work done, right?
absolutely, exactly. And she was, I believe, between the age of 6 and 8
Yeah.
years, something like that. And she kept asking me questions, like getting to know me. I'm like, you are the most like curious young person that I have ever met, you know. So I kept asking me those questions, and I remember our last appointment, which I told him this is going to be our last appointment before I go on my rotations. She would come running, and she'd be like, Dr. Mo, and I'm like, I'm not doctor yet, but whatever. she she comes to me, and then she gives me a
Yeah.
bracelet, and I'm like, this is a really cool bracelet, and it had the colors of light blue and white. I was like, this is really nice. She was like, I did it. This is what she says. I did it for you, and it has your favorite colors from your favorite soccer national team, which is Argentina.
Not Iraq.
And no, Iraq doesn't make it to the World Cup, unfortunately. I love my country, but it doesn't make it there. So, um, but Argentina is, I mean, it's different when your country plays. But as someone that will probably make it is Argentina.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so when she gave me that, that was the moment for me. Was like, even though she wasn't the real patient, she was a potential patient for us. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
and in her perspective, she is seeing how I'm treating her brother, and that was when I
Maybe she
told
didn't like
them.
your
I
brother.
was like, maybe
He
that
comes home and he
definitely is a
cries. I like that
possibility, you
guy.
know. That's a great point, you know. No, but that is the point when I told the mom. I was like, honestly, I had little doubts if this was the right
Yeah.
career or not. But your little daughter actually made sure of that. And then I had this kind of a deja vu a moment, which is really like every time I say it, it's kind of like makes me emotional. But when they were leaving, I felt that girl in a form of a guy that was me when I broke my teeth, and that was the moment where it was like, okay, this is it. This is my career, and this is gonna be me for the rest of my life, and I'm very glad I did that.
Yeah, I think that's it's almost the little things in a way, that something just the penny drops and you go, okay, this is it. This is the
Absolutely,
right one.
absolutely, absolutely.
How did you develop the kind of mindset, because you obviously you were learning English, which was not difficult. How did you develop this mindset to actually get through all of these difficult degrees in a second language? Because I don't think I could manage that. I think that would be incredibly difficult, and it's crazy that there are a lot of guys out there um, who do manage this actually.
That's a great question. I think for me, even in Jordan, it was a good transition because in Jordan, the degree was basically all in English. So the writing part of it, learning some vocabularies were actually a bit easier transition here. But definitely speaking was not easy. I mean, the first couple of years, I was nodding yes when I didn't know what's going
Mm,
on. But at the same time, like I said, I've heard this from one of the really great public speakers where he says every bottle has a cap, but you can make different sizes of bottles, and you decide your cap. You decide where you want to stop the lid, and that's where your end, where your limit gonna be. So if your limit is, if you put the cap higher, your limit gonna be higher.
right.
Um, and I think English is, yes, it wasn't easy, but it's not a difficult language to learn. Pronunciation is definitely one of the issues that I get to struggle with a lot, but I joke about it. Honestly, I joke a lot. I'm a goofy person in general, and I even with my patient, I'm like, oh, I used a totally different word here, So yeah, we just it wasn't a struggle, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe because I think English is such a large, a big language across the world. I think a lot of people maybe do pick it up easier than, for example, any other language. It's harder to pick up Spanish, or although Spanish and French are quite easy to learn. German, I found German very difficult when we were in school. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just interesting to see that there's so many people who move country, and it's not, it almost makes sense, from moving from the UK to Australia because it's still English, moving from the UK to
Yeah.
Canada to America or to New Zealand, something like that, or any one of those combinations, because culture is similar and the language is the same. Although you guys spell things incorrectly a lot of the time, but we'll leave that to one side. Um,
Sure.
but it's yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, it's an interesting thing that I like to think about, because sometimes I think, well, actually, do I want to stay in the UK? Is there somewhere better for dentistry, better for the lifestyle, warmer, mainly warmer? Um,
Definitely warmer, yeah.
I'm wearing
Well, Arizona is definitely a warm place.
I'm wearing a hat, so yeah,
I could, I could see that. And yeah, I think that the biggest transition was, I would say, now that I think about it, is going from an Arabic language to English, which is definitely not easy. I mean, we in Arabic we write right to
yeah,
left,
yeah, yeah.
in English we write left to right. And sometimes when I'm writing or I'm saying things, I would say it in English, but in my head I'm actually putting them in the order of Arabic, which really mess things up sometimes. But the message is delivered.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I know I've been trying for a long time to learn Arabic properly. It's just it's not easy for some reason. I've
It's
you
really not
once you've
easy.
learned you get to the point where you've learned the alphabet, which we did quite young as children. You
Yeah.
learn all your pronunciation, which I'm probably quite good at, but we never really had someone to speak to, and I think that's when you learn conversational Arabic. That's a completely different kettle of fish to Quranic Arabic, or anything else. It's much more difficult to speak because it's classical, and then there's conversational. Um,
Absolutely, and I think what's important is that if a person or parents do speak, they are bilingual at least. I would highly like recommend teaching their kids, because especially like languages like Arabic, Spanish. There are multi countries that you can travel to and get to be comfortable visiting, you know.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people like traveling in general, so adding that into your belt, under your belt, it will be more advantageous to travel and enjoy it even more.
Yeah. Speaking of travel, what's your have you got the travel bug? Do you head out a lot?
So I don't know if you can see, but that's actually um, a world map with pins.
Yeah, we
So
can just about see it.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put pins in wherever I traveled, and my goal is to travel as many countries as possible. But you know, with work is a little bit harder when it comes into international. So far in Europe, I've been to London, I've been to Paris, and I've been to Barcelona. And I'm a Barcelona guy because I like their soccer team. So
Oh dear.
um, let's not get into that. So yeah, and then as far as South America, I've been to Brazil, and then Canada, Mexico. Definitely want to travel more, and Middle East because obviously I came from originally from Iraq, so I've been to Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. I've been to those countries.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it opens your mind to the world, and I think if you're very lucky, and we are very lucky to head out and see the world in a different way, because if you're stuck in one country, you're very much stuck in one paradigm of how you're going to see the world and how you're going to see other people, and that's really important because your patients, just on a dental level, your patients can be coming from everywhere. In this day and age, there's no real borders. I know people like to talk about countries, but I don't really see it in that way anymore, because the guy next door is, I don't know, there's an English guy, there's an Indian person, there's probably Arabs across the road, and then got Korean, Japanese, or people from all over the place, just across, within a mile of your house. I will guarantee there's people from probably all countries of origin.
Yeah, Dr. Ghazi, I agree with you 100%. And it's perfect transition and perfect way you said it. Patients are all from different, all over the place. You know what I mean? And it's like living in one box. If you're living in one country, you're living in that country's box. If you go to multiple countries, you are seeing and going to different box. So that's why thinking outside the box, being able to communicate differently with different patients, with their different personality types, is a huge importance for you to see that. But not only that, is the fact that I tell people is that when you go and travel to developed or developing country, you will encounter different kind of learning experience, and you will enjoy it both, I'm pretty sure. But at the same time, you will bring home some value and appreciation to where you are at. Especially here in US, we sometimes devalue a lot of things that we have, or we encounter. But when you go and travel to a lot of developed countries, you're like, oh my God, I am in such a heaven. And same thing goes to practices. Sometimes you build that family practice with you, and sometimes the appreciation happens with certain members. But when they go and practice in a different office and they see that office's mentality, they'll come back, they're like, oh my God, we are in such a heaven. And that's why it's very important. What I'm trying to say is that I have two families. I have a family that are my brothers and sisters, and dad and mom, and I have a family at the
Mm.
office. And I always tell them that you guys are my family. I will fight for you. I will make sure that we are treating each other nice with respect, and we build each other's value, because that's what's important, and that's what patients see too. When your team members are being happy around you, are being respectful, or respected, the patient sees it, and patients love that because they know that if we have a positive environment, it's a positive environment for them as well.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it just perfectly there. It's the same as when you've gone to dental school. You have your little group of friends, that it's almost the family that you choose, and it's easier. They say it's easier to be friends with your friends than it is your family, and that's why sometimes you should try harder with one rather than the other, because your friends, if they're your real friends, are always going to stick around, whereas you have to stick with your family. So it's one of those funny things, isn't it? But you're right.
That's true.
You don't choose your family, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that is the thing. Your work
I agree.
family is, again, you're responsible for those people if you're an employer, or if you're the boss, or whatever you want to call it. So it's very important to have the right balance with all these things. uh,
Absolutely,
yeah. Is there
absolutely.
anything that people misunderstand about you?
I've got told a lot that because I'm a quiet person at the beginning, because I definitely talk a lot after, but in the beginning I'm a quiet person. I get told that sometimes I definitely don't seem the same as afterwards, which can be for me it can be bad because I want to create that first good impression, like taking an impression, first good impression. But it's hard that, and you can't be good in everything, but that is one of the things that I typically encounter. Um, yeah, and I think my learning experience and encountering war and everything like that, I genuinely love helping in general, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And sometimes when you overdo help, some people can take advantage of that. Some people can see it in a different way of like, oh, this person is just trying to gain some points from this person or this faculty because he's doing that, but it's just a matter of like who you are. And I learned it through the hard way that you can't please everyone. That's impossible, it's absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect
No,
world.
I think you have to
So
look
I
after
would say
yourself first and foremost, and then
absolutely.
everything else will follow. If you're looking after your own kind of mental health and well-being, then everything else kind of follows. Because if you're happy, then you're giving off a good vibe. If you're giving off a good vibe, then you're giving the right signals to people, and they should, if they're good people and good people for you, respond in kind, and then that kind of self-selects for who you want in your life and don't. So I'm a big believer in that kind of thing.
Absolutely, and personally, like when we think about supporting each other in general, especially in the dental field, the fact that you created something, a platform for all the dentists to get together, share their portfolio, share their profile, share their picture, and we all get to know them and together. I think that's such a great idea, such a great platform for us all to get together and be able to learn from each other too. And I think that's a great
Yeah,
thing.
it's been a lot of fun to do it actually. I mean it has been a lot of hard work as well because I've done this for almost three years, coming up to 3 years now. Um, and just keep being organized enough to remember who's next and when the next person's being posted, and then putting links to things that people want to see. Now we're doing uh things on story, interesting kind of cases. What's this particular lesion, so we're doing an oral med quizzes on story now, so people can give their diagnosis and then see what comes up. All sorts of different ways of getting people involved, maybe in the education process a little bit. But I also think there's almost too many people doing the education process. So I want to be very just putting the toe in a little bit, but more getting out the story of the person. Like we spoke about. How your process of wanting to become a dentist was. That's the story that we want to get out there, and I think that's kind of the important thing. Because the dentistry is the dentistry at the end of the day. It doesn't really change all that much. Yes, there's advances, but we want to know a bit more about the people behind it. If you want to show the guys your studio, which you're doing some interesting things with soon, then there's more to you than just the teeth. Is what I'm trying to say.
And I agree with you absolutely 100%. The fact that a lot of people are doing educational, obviously, because they are in the background of the education, and I obviously support that 100%. But at the same time, it's important for people to get to know you outside of your of the dental, of what you do. They want to know you as a person. They want to know you, what do you do for your life outside of the dental field, especially with the current generation and the path we're taking with social media and everything like that. I mean, you can tell those big influencers, those big celebrities, how they are not only sharing their work, which is their movies or TV shows or reality TVs, but also their personal life and everything like that, which is the way that life is taking us. And to a certain extent, to a certain year, I would say it was still hard for a lot of the professional, like doctors or dentists, to take that path or believe that's where we're going.
Yeah.
But reality, those platforms, because that's how you eventually gonna build your brand, eventually build your career, and eventually get the advertisement built on. Instead of sending the mailers and people getting them from the mail to come see you, people can swipe up or swipe right and left between stories, and you can be right there. And just talking about Instagram as an example, which is why, like for me, I was like, okay, so because I since I was a kid, I even though and one of the reasons why my accent was a little bit easier to get to with English is because since I was a kid, I used to sing in English. I used to sing Backstreet Boys, Westlife, and sing. So that's when I realized that I love singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I went to dental school, I had one classmate, and she told me, she was like, "Let's how about we do something like this, like a song where we get to change the lyrics." And it's the song Uptown Funk by Bruno
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah.
I was like, what if we change the lyrics to make it more of like a parody kind of thing? And that's when I was like, oh, cool. So I did that, and then it's kind of stopped for a while because I was doing cover songs, and then I was like, you know what? I can combine what I love from both angles. I love singing and I love dentistry. What if I do both of them? And
Yeah.
that's when it came to the part of doing parody songs and the fact with the Singodontist. But it's funny because with the Singodontist, people in the beginning thought it meant single dentist. I was like, well, I am single at that time, but I'll take it. But no, it was more of a career path or like a specialty, like orthodontist, periodontist, and syngodontist is more of a like specializing in music and parodies related to dentistry. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's definitely a space for it because there's a lot of serious people out there. And not that that's a bad thing, but the levity is an important part of life as well. And I think if you can get something across in like a more fun way, something that's easy to digest or something that annoyingly sticks in your head for far too long, then that's a
I
good thing to
did
do.
that, yes.
You hit that note.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's why, like, in the beginning, I will tell you, like, it's not easy to just go there, be in the front of the world, and just be goofy and just joke around and make funny videos, and even most of the time make fun of yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But here's the thing: we are all like that one way or another, whether we show it to people or whether we do not show it to people. It's, in a way, to me, it's building confidence for each other. You know what I mean? It's being able to go out there and be yourself, and that's who I am. I am not being different with my goofy videos. Everyone knows I'm goofy. Everyone knows that I joke around.
Yeah.
And it's important because when your patients come and see you, they know that you are serious about your job, but at the same time, it's easy to get along with you because you are actually fun to be around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that's my goal. Obviously, maybe some people won't see it that way, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people who have, who are looking over people's shoulders, and it's none of their business really. So, you can just ignore those guys in a way.
Oh yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
pretty, I'm very heavy on the block button. That's that's for sure.
Honestly, if anything, one of the biggest thing I learned from my uncle, and God bless his heart and soul, he told me this, and my brother lives on it, and I live on it too. And he said, I'm pretty sure you've heard this before, but uh, um, and it's not like I'm insulting them or anything like that, the people that I'm talking about right now, but he says, don't argue with stupid people because they will drag you down to their level and they will beat you with experience. And I just love that sentence because it just makes it so much easier to apply in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what was the one? I don't want to get too political because I'm not going to say who it was about,
Okay, yeah,
but
it's all good.
there was another kind of similar quote or something like don't argue with or don't play chess with stupid people because they'll throw all the pieces on the floor, take a crap on the board, throw it in your face, and claim they won. It's not the rules, they're
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's the
yeah.
same exact thing. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's
Different analogy,
yeah.
but
It maybe the way that was said was a little bit more forceful. I've toned it very heavily down. Um, but the idea behind it is the same, and you gotta be happy and do what's good for you, and hopefully then you know good people will come to you, and you'll have a nice time with your patients and stuff. So it makes sense to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, no, absolutely. And that's what it is that not just because people don't believe in what you're doing, that means it's wrong. You know what I mean? Everyone have a different belief system. And like I said, it's important for me and the way I'm seeing how those people are getting popular and those people are getting successful in life is because, first of all, you have to show your true self. You can't fake it. There is no such thing as fake it till you make it, unless it's an exam. Even with that, kind of can be hard. But you can't. You have to be yourself because life is too short. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just agree. I'd like to be able to argue with her, and make it more interesting, but I kind of just agree. Uh,
No, yeah. I mean, makes sense.
yeah, so that's probably, we're both saying the same thing there, guys. Just, block people if they're annoying you. It's easy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah.
So, with your practice, you finished your dental school. Is there any training that you've done since then that's been really useful or helpful? Just generally, I don't have to, don't have to go into too much detail, but any particular
Yeah.
areas that you thought you needed to level up? Because I think a lot of young dentists, hopefully, who are going to be watching this kind of podcast will say, actually, well, if Mo, who's doing great work, needed to do this, then it makes sense, just get it out there.
So I was talking with the couple of friends about when is it a good time to own a practice? For example, just a simple example, and I think we have basically approached two things. First of all, you have to have the drive to be able to maintain the practice management, which is not easy. I think that is, to me, the hardest part of dentistry, the practice management, and it's the one thing that you have to drag with you most of the time home, because you think it's over but it's not over. Sometimes you have to do certain insurance claims, sometimes you have to do certain employee related stuff, and that is one of the things that I tell people. And then the second part, when you are ready to open a practice, is excuse me, is when you have built enough skills under your belt to be able to work as a dentist confidently to treat as much patient as possible without referring them out.
Mm.
Patients don't like to be referred. I have worked for 2 years and I encounter this almost
It's
all
so
the time.
strange, though, isn't
They
it? Do you not think?
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. Because to me, I'm like, and I tell my patients all the time. I tell my patient, I'm like, I'm referring you because this doctor has better skills in this kind of field than I am. And if I am sitting in the chair, I want that too. So I tell them in a matter of like I am putting myself in their shoes, but I'm explaining to them what my thought is as a patient, which is very important. I think communication is one of the hardest things to master, and it's impossible to master fully. But it's definitely helps the way you approach your patients. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just very strange to me that just going into that mindset of the patient that doesn't like to be referred out, because let's just say you're a family doctor. I don't know if you have these kind of a general practitioner in the States.
we do
Um,
we do
okay, I found a cancer. Do you want me to refer you? No, I'd rather you do it here, here, doc. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't
It
make any
doesn't make
sense.
any sense. As general dentists, we are great. We do lots of things that are, very high quality. But that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody out there who is another level above us and, can do things to a higher standard, in specific circumstances. For example, an endodontist is going to be able to do some root end closure, is going to be able to do some things that, you just don't have the time to scale up in that particular field, or all sorts of things like that. And it doesn't make sense to me, which I'm not hating on the patients or anything. It's just a very interesting how the difference they see that between a medic is and then a dentist.
Well, like I said, it's more of a again, like it always goes back to the education part. Some patients don't know the difference between a lot of
Specialties. Yeah.
specialties and what the reason behind them. The same exact thing. I will put that different analogy of like brushing techniques. Some patients think that because they're manual, they're gonna rotate. They do the motion, the rotation motion technique when they're brushing with the manual. I asked two patients recently, just curiosity. I'm like, they use electric. I'm like, how do you use it? And they're like rotating it. I'm like, the whole point, exact. I'm like, the whole point of the electric is so you can stop doing the rotation movement.
Mm.
So it all comes down to education and what you're going to educate your patients. But going back to the practice where I am at, and again, like I said, it's not more of a pushing of which companies I work with and stuff like that. But I personally work with Heartland in their as a DSO. I work in their one of their offices, but I have would never probably, if I go back in time, I would never have probably changed any different path. Because here's the thing, the CE courses like we're talking about, the creating more educational courses after you graduate, it's one of the best things that I have had from what I'm working at. And they create that kind of a super general practitioner, which I like because it is making me able to treat my patients who needs implant in my office, treat my patients with root canal, but being able to talk with them and use the right verbiage. For example, I'm just going to give you this
Yeah.
verbiage which everyone can utilize literally. If you're doing a molar root canal, which is for a lot of general dentists, it's a nightmare, right? If you're doing a molar root canal, I literally tell my patient this. I'm like, look, I will treat your tooth. Now, here's the thing. This tooth is a complex tooth. I will try to do it for you, but there is a possibility I might have to stop in the middle because the tooth is getting complex and I can't see very well. The reason why I can see very well is because sometimes canals are very small and we would need more magnification, higher magnification for it. At that point, I will stop treatment, I will temporize the tooth, I will not charge you, and I will refer to an endodontist. It's a win-win for me and it's win-win for you. So if we are able to finish it, it will
Yeah.
cost you less and you'll be able to finish it right here. We'll do a build up and a crown right then and there. The thing that I created with this is a mindset and a future plan. Because if I go now and I treat that tooth, guess what's going to happen? I don't have stress. At any point in the procedure, I can stop and be like, okay, this is getting too complex,
I'm out. Yeah.
you know? And I can, and I literally happened twice to me so far, and I referred the patient out. No problem, no issues. They got it done. They came back, did double up in a crown. Everyone is
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. It's
But
interesting.
in yeah, in this way you are looking out for the patient, because in this way you got the skills that can definitely help you achieve that procedure. But sometimes there is a reason why there is a specialties. There are a reason why there are doctors who did continuing education for a year, 2 or 3, to master a certain thing. And that's what we have to always remember. Just because I want to keep the patient home or in our office and not refer them out, that doesn't mean that is the right thing, because sometimes you have to refer them out even if you're really good in certain things, because you have to look out for the patient, and it goes really far for you once the patient notice that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guy who wants to do endo anyway as a specialty, so it's one of those where, I understand that, there's a very large number of cases, in overall, which probably 10-15% of cases which probably need referring, unless you're
Yes.
especially gifted, top 1% of general practitioners. So it's not a bad thing to say, you know what, this is beyond me, because there's dentures that I try and do sometimes when I'm a generalist that actually, this is probably beyond my skill level. Flat ridges, things which are too mobile. There are cases where, okay, you know what, someone else is going to be able to do a better job just by value of their experience. So um, I don't like to get into that mindset of I can't send something out. Also, we work in a very different system in the UK, so it's like chalk and cheese, kind of comparing how an American office works compared to the UK office. So yeah, it's interesting to hear how you guys do things over there.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I don't know about the UK system and how it works there, but it definitely is in a way that we have definitely specialties, and I do refer to pretty much periodontist, orthodontist, oral surgeon, a pedodontist. But that doesn't mean that I'm referring all the patients. But that doesn't mean that I'm not treating certain patients that I can keep and do it myself.
Yeah,
Because in the end of the day, you're building your skills, and that's why those 2 points are important before you decide to open your own practice. Because a lot of people don't understand or don't comprehend in the beginning is the fact that when it comes to business, now when you're buying a practice that is already established, the first question you have to ask yourself is not how many patient that office is seeing, which is important. I get it, but look at their revenues and look at what procedures they do.
Yeah, can you do those
If you're gonna
procedures?
do less than if you're gonna do one procedure less than that, you're already in a loss. You know, you have to make sure that when you have enough skills, is that the time where you're able to choose some practice and be like, oh, I at least have one procedure to add under my belt compared to that practice. And that's why it's important to open it. But at the same time, with the way that it's going here in US, and companies are building up a lot of like DSOs and stuff like that, you have to come to that realization of, do I want to be owning a practice?
Mm,
Is it worth the 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 more a year to have that headache? Because in the end of the day, there is pros and cons, no matter who's going to sit down with me and tell me that there isn't a pros and cons. There is a pros and cons
but
for
everything you do there
private
will be.
practice
Yeah.
compared to DSO. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's when you have to come to realization of like, what do you want to do? Is your only job you want to do is to do dentistry and do take care of your practice? Go open a private practice, hands down, you know. But for me, I want to do other things. I want to focus on oral health awareness in general. So social media is an important platform. I want to be able to public speak and educate people in general about the different mentality and communication skills, you know. And I think that's why it's important, like, for me. And maybe a private practice might not be an ideal thing, you
Yeah.
know. So it just depends on the person.
Yeah, you need to know your goals in life, and if you're sure about things, you really analyze who you are as a person, then you can make that good decision. Um, I kind of agree
Exactly.
because there's different ways of skinning, doing this particular career, and there's no right or wrong way um, in how you set up your week and how you set up your career. So I think
Yeah.
you're right there. So what are the other things that you're getting on with? Obviously we've got Singodontist. There's loads and loads of videos that you guys who are watching should check out. And if you are watching, make sure to hit the like button, by the way, and subscribe. But what are the other things that you are doing that mean that you may be taking a day off your dentistry and you're doing a day of something else and a day in something else? What are those things that's in your life?
So I would say, obviously, with COVID is a little bit different, but when there is no COVID, I like to travel a lot. I like to go out with my friends, family, have a nice dinner, try new restaurants, go out with my girlfriend, and all of those things. It's it's life work balance is extremely important. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I love videography. I love photography. I love doing funny videos. I think a smile can go a long way. You know what I mean? So I am on Instagram as Singodontist, same as on TikTok. Since the TikTok platform is really blowing up right now. I'm on LinkedIn as well, YouTube. Um, Currently, I am working on a couple of projects for parodies. One I can't mention yet because it's very explicit. The other one is actually I finished the song part of it, which is by NSYNC, "Bye Bye Bye." I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about it. So I did the parody song. I just need to record the video for it, which is why I have the green screen here in the background. Let me
Yeah,
see
let's show the guys the
if
green
people can
screen.
see it.
You can
There
kind
you
of
go.
see a little bit
I
of
don't know
it.
if you can see it or not. Oh, I have to one click it, I guess, huh? There you go. So it's right there. Um, and at the same time, I like to do some dental tips, but in a funny way too, because you want people to just not hear like random, boring stuff. Which is, yes, I get it, it's important, but at the same time, it's like you want to do it in a funny way. You know what I mean? Like, for example, one of the videos I made was you don't have to floss all your teeth, only those you want to keep, and make like smile face and just leave the picture and the frame. But yeah, those are pretty much what I usually like to do.
Yeah, and outside of dentistry, what's your what are your interests? Because obviously we haven't got the opportunity to travel. So how are you making do with the time that you've got now? Obviously, you stopped playing football as well because you like to get injured. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. So I bought my house last year, literally like in the end of the year. So I've been really slowly building it out. And it's Halloween time this month, so I've been decorating my house, I like to go hiking. I was supposed to go on hiking today. I was not feeling too well yesterday, but thank God I was ready for the podcast.
Yeah, not COVID,
Um,
right? I hope. Have you been safe?
no, 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 not COVID. I hope it's not COVID. Although, like some symptoms, you really don't know how it goes. Some people
Yeah,
completely get knocked out. Some people is like, oh, I had it,
very minor. Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah. So no, I like to hang out. Like I said, just go on dinners and activities wise. Like I'm trying to get myself into learning how to play golf, the dentist sport. So trying to get to learn that. But I definitely I built out my own gym at home.
yeah,
I use my Peloton bike. I have in my garage like basically almost all a full setup gym, so I don't need to worry about going to the gym and be worried while stressed out while working out. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah. We've
I
we've
tend
done
to do
something.
those.
We should have done it years and years ago, because there's three boys and my dad as well. So we should have really thought, why are we spending so much on gym memberships? We could have kitted out
Yeah,
a really
exactly.
really nice. There's a room which is just full of rubbish that we've cleared out now and just put some very simple equipment. A bar and a rack,
Yeah,
and that's all you need to stay strong.
true,
Because you can go
true.
out if you're wanting to do cardio, you can go out and go for a run, or you can go for a walk. You can get quite a cheap rope and do some rope exercises and stuff like that. So really, you just need some resistance exercise with weights or something like that, and then you've hit your numbers. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, my brother and I decided to do that literally like the moment COVID hit in March for us. So that's when we were like, okay, let's buy them, and we were able to buy most of them, and like the Bowflex and stuff like that, and we'll be able to use them for workouts and stuff. And I pitched in, he pitched in, and now we have basically like a mini gym. You know what I mean? Which is exactly like you said. That's what you really need, and you will save a lot on membership because you don't have to do
yeah,
it
I've
anymore.
quit. I've quit my membership since
Yeah, same
a
here.
long while back now. But there's maybe once everything opens back up and COVID's gone away. Maybe if I'll look at something like a Pure Gym we have in the UK where they have a couple of hundred, 300 locations. So if you've gone to see friends somewhere, or you've gone away from the house for a few days, there's somewhere you can get a workout in. That's maybe worth it.
That's
That's
true.
maybe worth it. But other than that, I'm not going to be paying. Some of these health clubs are like 50, 60 pounds a month, which is quite a lot, really. For what you're actually using it for and what you're actually getting out from it. So um, and also, you can be
I
so
agree.
much more regular if it's literally inside your house. There's no excuse.
Well, that's what I tell people. I'm like, in my mentality, the hardest part of working out is going to the gym. Well, I can't give that excuse anymore. It's right there.
No, I didn't go home today.
Exactly.
Uh,
Unless you don't go home, exactly. So yeah,
that yeah, exactly. And then overall the cost benefit, the per time used is going to be much much better than going into the gym. Although you're never going to have the money to kit out a full gym like they have in I don't know if you've seen, is it Matt? What's that guy? Matt Damon? No, the other one. Mark Wahlberg's gym.
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh
Uh-huh.
my, wow. His
Yeah.
gym is beautiful.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure The Rock also, Dwayne Johnson is probably has the same kind of thing because his body's like four times the size of mine. But I think what it is like are certain workouts that you can do, and if you have like those applications like Full Fitness and stuff, they show you with one dumbbell like 100 exercises, literally, just different motions with your hands. And I think that's what it is. And to us human beings is so easy to find an excuse to not do things. You know what I mean? To
Yeah,
just relax, but you have to push yourself.
I'm gonna send you a picture of Mark Wahlberg's gym. Um,
Sounds good.
it's it's insane. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen for the guys who are watching at home as well.
Sure, yeah.
Did that send? That should be sending now. Just be shocked at this. So guys, you can see now as well. I'm just putting the image up.
Let's see.
This is another thing you can't do on Instagram
Oh
Live.
my God, yeah. This is like a factory, a factory building for him. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, so the guys who are watching at home can now also see that in the top corner. I'm just gonna hide that. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, what that guy's.
That's crazy.
I would like to be his butler or something, if or a live-in
Or his
dentist.
dentist.
Live-in
Yeah,
dentist.
there you go.
But yeah, that's a
That's
proper
crazy.
gym. That is. I mean, of the things that are in there, you could do with just a couple of barbells and a set of dumbbells, and you wouldn't need anything more. I mean, he's gone above and beyond, which is brilliant. He's got a boxing ring and everything in there. So
Well, he can afford it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And he wants to make it looks like it's a gym, going to the gym, you know? Because you're used to like I'm going to work out. Where do you work out? You work out in the gym. So it's all of like creating that atmosphere that is
a
important
feeling.
for you.
Yeah,
And everyone, yeah, everyone can have a different atmosphere of working out. I know some people literally have just a yoga mat and they do crazy workouts and they have a great body, you know? Um, but yeah, it just depends on your mantra and uh, perception on what is a good atmosphere, you know?
yeah. I do love that, going to the gym, and because I used to go with all my friends, especially in university, we would
Oh,
have.
yeah.
We were very lucky. Our university gym was, you could see it from the dental school. It was that close. It was
Wow.
so close. So you could go between lectures. If you had a 9 o'clock lecture that finished at 10, and then your next lecture was at 11, easy 1 hour in the gym. You've barely, you've not lost anything from your day because you left the dental school, you've gone to the gym, you come back, you have your protein shake in the lecture. And
That's amazing.
a lot of the guys would do that, and girls as well. So we had a really good atmosphere because there was, your friends were always there. Um, and then we ended up.
And 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 it's important, sorry to cut you off, but it's important to have that workout before a class too, because it's a mind workout too, because it creates a better energy for you, all the dopamine and stuff like that, to be able to focus on your work. You know, you have that boost of energy, and I think with COVID times especially. Uh, it's so important to work out a lot, because it gives you that positive energy to your mind, you know, not only your body but positive energy to your mind, to be able to focus, to be able to think happily, to be able to think optimistically, and not let this pandemic affect you in general, you know.
Yeah, I think I've always noticed, because I've gone through wild swings of working out and not working out, studying and not studying. And the times when both were the most optimal is when I was doing some gym, some sort of exercise, as well as, working hard as well. Obviously, if you just don't bother going to the library, then it's just not gonna end well. But there were and there were times that it didn't end well, unfortunately for me. But
Yeah.
everything that happens is there for a reason, and you come out the other end really well, as long as you just keep at it and don't give up. But the times where both things were kind of there, I seem to have more energy to work, and also, you felt better in your whole body because you're working out. You feel just a little bit. Your body feels cleaner. I don't know if that makes sense to the guys who've done it. Your mind and body just feels cleaner. So that's really, really important from my experience, kind of anecdotally.
I agree. I completely agree. I couldn't add anything better to that. You know, it's perfect. No one gonna argue telling you. I've never heard someone saying that workout is bad for you.
I'm
It's
sure
all
we can
like
find
positive.
somebody who's gonna.
That'll be interesting.
If there's anybody out there who disagrees that exercise is good for you, please get in touch, and
Yeah.
this will be an argument. It won't
Let
be a
us know.
podcast. It'll be an argument, which might be enjoyable
Oh,
to
I love
watch.
it.
um,
Definitely.
yeah, it's one of the
Definitely.
things that I kind of winds me up. Where very few things wind me up, but people say no, no, exercise is, and there. Have you seen this healthy any size movement? Okay, you
No.
need to have a look at that. If you haven't seen that, it's
Okay.
it's crazy. So there's these guys who go in, and the doctor says, okay, well, it looks like you're pre-diabetic. You need to lay off the food because you're gonna have gangrenous feet, and your pancreas is shutting down, this and that. And then they sue the doctor for telling them something that don't want to hear, because they got upset by hearing it. It's a whole thing. And then there's healthy at any size
Wow.
doctors, because the doctors have got sick of being sued, so they just kind of go along with it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
Uh,
And where does it at? Like, how do you watch it?
just put in healthy any size. It came up. It used to be a huge thing on Reddit where people were arguing both sides, and I would go in to just scroll
Oh,
and kind of popcorn time, just to see the arguments and
nice,
it's that thing,
nice.
you know, when you see something really dumb and you're just like, this is amusing, I'm gonna read it. You kind of get wound up, but then there's
Oh
someone
yeah.
arguing back, so you're just like, yes, yes, he's right. Um,
No, yeah, I see your point definitely.
but yeah, that
That's
that
crazy.
that kind of it's really really weird. There was one. I'll send you the video afterwards. There was one Australian talk
Yeah.
show where they had a whole. Have you seen Newsnight? I don't know if you've seen that particular
No.
program. So it's
No.
you've got a panel. There's some guys who are sat there,
Uh-huh.
and they're experts or someone with an opinion on a certain topic, and then you've got a live studio audience, and they take the mic around and let them have their say as well and ask questions and
Okay.
disagree.
Okay.
It was one of these, and there was a lady who was not particularly healthy looking, a little bit larger, a bit heavier set, and that sort of thing. And she was vehemently arguing that she was perfectly healthy, had no issues, blah blah blah, which could be true. And she goes, but it's the same for
Hmm.
all people of my size and this and that. And then there was a personal trainer there, and you just see him roll his eyes, and he just went.
Oh, I want to see that video. If you can
It's
find
like,
it and send it
oh,
to me,
it's
I
it's
would
like
love
two
that.
hours long, but I was watching the whole thing. It's
Oh
just
God.
it's that kind of reality TV, and you're just like, why are there people like this? I'll find it. I need to find it.
Well, think about it. Think about it. But it's entertainment. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
Entertainment. They have to add those out of the blue kind of people because it literally like if it's not for them, you will be not entertained. You would have probably not watched the whole thing for two
no,
hours. That's how it
really, you
works.
should just argue with me
You
more,
know.
and people are going to be watching a bit more longer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's the way the media goes these days, isn't it? You
It
just got to
is.
have someone saying something ridiculous, and you'll have more views. Maybe that's what I'm doing
Yeah. I
wrong.
mean, I mean, let's pick a fight.
Well, I don't
No, but like I
I
said,
don't like Barcelona, so we can always dive in there.
oh, there you go. I mean, like it's sure. I mean, when you have the best soccer player in the world, there's a huge difference. So not like Barcelona, but yeah. Who do you root for?
I'm a United fan. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
Manchester United. So I like Manchester United from the Premier League actually, but yeah, man, they suck this year. Sorry.
We have trouble at the moment for sure. But on
Yeah.
Messi, I call him the growth hormone goat
Why though?
because he wouldn't be as good if they haven't pumped him full of drugs when he was 12.
That makes sense. Yeah. But he was having he was having like developmental issues and stuff. So I'm assuming you're a Ronaldo fan.
Yeah, I what I like about him is obviously he's
He
talented.
played in United,
No,
is
no, but
that why?
obviously even since he left, and there's a lot of guys that I disliked since they left, or didn't
Yeah.
like as much anymore. But he has like he was obviously talented. You saw him in the early days in the from 2003 2005, brilliant dribbler. But he single-mindedly changed himself into like this unstoppable machine.
Beast.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Ronaldo is a great example for people to to believe in the fact that you can do anything you want. And I literally I would say Ronaldo is one of those. The difference between him and Messi to me is the fact that Messi is a kind of a born talent. You know what I mean? You're born with that talent and you just
yeah. I
use
mean,
it.
they were
That's it,
both
you know?
number one and two anyway, probably.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. But Ronaldo definitely like I remember literally Portugal played against Iraq and Iraq won in the Olympics and I would never forget that because Ronaldo was playing in that Portugal team, but at that time he wasn't that great. But you can tell, like you said, single-mindedly
mm.
took it, and he was like, "I'm gonna be the best," and he became the best. I mean, I have a huge respect for both of them. But to me, it's in the end of the day, it's something that I always loved and enjoy watching. Is Messi is my favorite for sure.
Yeah. I think it's one of those. He almost it's weird. Like Messi, there's no you can't hate on him, and I don't hate on him at all. But there's something missing for me. Like if you watch Messi and then you watch Ronaldinho,
Oh, yeah, a huge
it's
difference.
the whole point is supposed to be entertaining. If you're gonna beat someone, rub it in their face. This is what I want to say. Messi, he doesn't for whatever reason. You're gonna
Doesn't.
beat him twice for no reason other than the fact that you're gonna beat him twice. I don't care if you score. Like, I just wanted you to humiliate someone.
I agree with you. Messi is way too respectful. I totally see that, and he's very quiet, very respectful. And when he gets mad, he just like on the pitch with that person, and it's off, and it's done, right? But the only thing I can remember rubbing it off is when they won against Real Madrid, like literally almost the last couple or 5 minutes, and when he took off his
Yeah,
jersey and he's like, "Watch this, watch this jersey." You know what I mean? Um, that was one of my favorite games ever because the game was just so beautifully intense, you know. But like I said, I think yeah, rubbing it off because Ronaldo does it. Ronaldo does it continuously, and I love that about him
I think
too.
that's what's
That
interesting though, right? Because if I think about other players or of different sports that I like, yeah, you had Ronaldinho, Neymar as well, another one who just rubs it in. Uh,
mm,
Cricket, Kevin Peterson, just the South African guy played for England. He just he wound people up, and it was amusing to watch. And he was very talented and flamboyant. Lewis Hamilton in Formula One,
yeah,
Andy
yeah,
Murray as well. Because Federer is the best ever, right? He's
yeah.
boring.
That's true. It's true. I agree with you.
Same
It's
with
boring. I mean,
Djokovic.
Nadal is really great too. Djokovic is great. Yeah, but they are
Mm.
boring. You're right. There is no much like gestures that they body language that they offer. You want to create a body language that will be good and entertaining for people. It's not all the sports. Is the thing that you add to the
You're a
sport. You know what I
showman.
mean?
I think they forget that it's a show sometimes. Um,
It's true, but it is a show. I mean, think about it. When you watch, I don't know if they do it in Premier League, but when you watch La Liga, literally they have fake audience right now
yeah, yeah.
because audience is part of the game. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not.
I'm stuck at
If you
home,
watch
not
a
going to the game. This is how it is right now. Uh,
Yeah, but if you watch the game like a football game without the audience being there, it will look weird. It will look like this is just a training session. You know what I mean?
this is why we're getting some weird
So
results as well.
it is true. I mean, oh my God, this past
Mm.
weekend or the yeah, this past weekend,
Bayern, so
what
many players.
Liverpool and Manchester United, I don't know what the hell happened. It's like those results just don't add up to me. You know what I
I
mean?
I
I
mean,
think they got infected by Barcelona from last year.
yes, there's that as well, but there's actually it's actually pretty well documented that this was gonna happen. Uh,
Oh yeah.
like a lot of people predicted this because of the way that UEFA structured their Champions League thing. So if you stop
Hmm.
the Premier League and you stop La Liga and you stop the Bundesliga, at a certain time, and then you have a 1 week break and the cup final plays, yeah, and then another 2 weeks later you have 6 games in the Champions League, Europa League.
That's crazy.
Okay, so now you're 4 weeks out from the end of the domestic season. So all these other teams, probably 99% of the other teams have had a month off and are now coming back into preseason training. And
Yeah, it's a
okay,
lot.
so these guys they've been playing since September last year, August last year, plus the Euros or the World Cup or whatever it was.
Hmm.
So they come back in. So these guys have played Champions League, Europa League. Now, if you give them a month off, you have 4 days of training before the first game. United
Hmm.
got beat by Crystal Palace, which we battered them the last time out. But just
Yeah.
pure fitness, you could see, Spurs could run and we weren't running. You could see that some of the
Hmm.
Liverpool guys were just being overrun, just being walked past. And the level of the Premier League is, there's players like Grealish, a team who finished 16th. Good players. He had 5 goals and assists that game.
It's crazy, and but that's what it makes it fun too.
Yeah.
It's like it's not always those big names that will always make it to the top. I love that. Like that year when Leicester City won the champion, the Premier League. Oh, it was beautiful season because it was unpredictable. It no one knew what's going to happen. I mean, imagine that person that was rooting for Leicester City from the beginning, how much money that person made. You know what I
Yeah, I think
mean?
there's
Or
probably a
or was
few a
betting on
few
Leicester.
guys who've made some decent money on that. The diehard
Oh,
fans who
for
always put a
sure,
ten
for sure.
pounds down.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what it is. It's all about like having that beautiful. In the end of the day, like you said, in the end of the day, it's a show, and that was a beautiful
Mm.
show where the fact that it was very unpredicted. It was out of the ordinary, and a team that was never thought to make it to the top five made it to top number one. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's what's beautiful. And honestly, I was rooting for personally rooting for Messi to go to Manchester City, because then the Premier League would have been amazing to watch.
I
With
was kind
all
of
that
hoping that
little
because I just never
hitting.
want Liverpool to win anything.
Yeah, Mohamed Salah is one of my favorite too.
I don't like him.
But he's a good player. He's a good player.
I have my
Who is your
reservations over
favorite?
the Premier League and how good some of these guys are. And I think you're going to see
Yeah,
that.
who is your favorite
Well, I
though?
think you're going to see it now with James Rodriguez coming, and you're going to see it when Gareth Bale plays for Spurs. So my thoughts for the last few years has been that the quality of defending in the league has been so poor that someone like Salah can score 30 goals plus. In any other league,
That's
I
true.
think he struggles to get 15, and
That's true.
I would stick by that. And I think you'll see Bale just waltz past people, and if he comes with any kind of ambition, he will rip the league apart, because I think some of the defending is just it's not even schoolboy. It's like less than amateur. Some of these guys.
I agree. I agree, and I would say a lot of even La Liga, it's not hasn't been a good defense in the games
Mm.
too, which is why you see some great high scores games, But I think Gareth Bale has definitely a great potential. I mean, that guy was in the beginning was a beast with Real Madrid, but with him is clashing with Zinedine Zidane
Yeah, it was
is
purely a
not going through
personality
well.
thing. I don't think he's become a bad player by any stretch. So I think it's going to be very, very worrying in one way, but interesting in another way to see what happens with those guys.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
I mean, they're a good team. The Tottenham is really
solid team.
is it's a beautiful team. I like the way they play and stuff like that. Yeah, like you said, I would be curious to see how Bell gonna be added to that team
Yeah, I mean, it's one
for
of those
sure.
things again. This is very controversial, but if Van Dijk's the best defender in the league, then you need to find a new defender. New defenders, because
That's true,
but not
especially after that
not
last
that he's
game.
not the best in the league, because clearly he's been
Yeah, yeah.
very, very good. But that just shows you that 10 years ago, I don't think he plays for a top six side.
Yeah, I see your point, but at the same time, it's like honestly, with COVID, the mentality has changed for a
Yeah,
lot of people. So we don't know how that's gonna impact the future, because everyone is like, hold on, let's see what's gonna happen next month. Hold on, let's see what's gonna happen
I
next
think
month.
we're
That
going to be
that
back in lockdown very soon over here. So
really,
I almost hope it happens, because there's too many cases going. 17,000 this last week.
and you guys already went through the second wave, if I'm not
We're
mistaken.
we're I think we're just at the start of the second wave, from the looks of
Gotcha.
it, and that will give United the time to recover and recuperate from the long season that's just gone. We
Yeah.
we need we need
Are
that
you
month.
are you in Manchester?
I'm about half an hour from Manchester. It's a town called Halifax, but not too far. So
Gotcha.
I'm kind of half an hour between Manchester and Leeds. Either
Oh,
one
cool.
half an hour either way, a bit closer to Leeds. So yeah,
Gotcha. That's awesome.
yeah. So that's there. We've had the argument now, guys. Did the numbers go up?
I think the views will definitely go up later on.
Yeah. So tell me, what's the future for you then?
Uh, 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 the future is definitely something that it has a lot of factors that is depending on, and in the beginning, I used to think a lot about like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 10 years? But definitely, I see myself as being in a practice that is very, very successful, whether it's alone or with a big DSO
Yeah.
company. It just depends on where comfortable I am and how respected I would be. But I see myself in a very successful practice with a great family team, being able to treat a lot of patients. And then I see also myself being with maybe a separate company, or maybe even the same, doing public speaking and encouraging people on positivity, optimism, and seeing life from a positive angle, and doing what you love and loving what you do, kind of thing. And yeah, and build up a little bit more on music. I might do an original a song that is basically has the teeth involved in it. I'm still thinking about it on the cost and everything like that. But I think that would be a really cool thing to do. So that's what I see myself yet. I don't know what else is going to change in the future because you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, you know, if you suddenly just stumble upon something, you just have to take the opportunity, then plans will always change. And I think that's I think it's sometimes scary, but sometimes it's the best thing to do if something comes out and you just
Absolutely.
yeah, just oh, I've got to do this because that opens so many doors. And I think saying yes to things is really important, or at least exploring different options is really, really good as well. I'll be interested to see these songs when they come out. We've how did the last one do? Let me just
Absolutely.
check how the last one did. Uh, I think actually, with my page, the things that slightly shorter, less than
Hmm.
15 seconds, seem to do a little bit better. Um, I think people's
Yeah, I noticed that what happens is that
the drop off.
there is a lot of algorithms on what happens with posts. So I was reading a little bit about it. Is that if you're doing an Instagram TV kind of a post, your preview on your grid has to be something that it will be catchy, or something that is going to be like, oh, what is he going to say next? You know what I mean?
Mm,
To stop there, and when it continues on the TV, that's where you will get the views. And at the same time, now with TikTok being added, believe it or not, and you will see it probably on almost all the videos. But when you do a TikTok video that doesn't have any pop-up lyrics, you know, it won't have much views as compared to videos with a lot of pop-up lyrics. Because what happens is that people tend to stop it or tend to repeat it so they can see what the pop-up says, and
right.
that's how it increases the views. Yeah, it's a lot of the mental game behind it
Let
too.
me see if that's the
Um,
case on mine. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I think the shorter ones are definitely there's definitely something to be said for shorter ones. I think the reels that are over 15 seconds have been much um there's been less traction on
yeah,
those ones.
I didn't know you can do more than 15 seconds on
15 or
Reels.
30, you have to
Can
select
you?
it first.
Oh, gotcha. So you can do 30. I
Yeah.
didn't know
But
that.
I probably, unless
Gotcha.
you've got something really, really catchy, um and informative, kind of like the kinds of dentist one that Ben's been sending in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If it's unless it's
I
something
like
along
those.
those lines, I think you're probably going to struggle with the views, and that's just going off. There was one girl who did a rap, which was a great rap, but it didn't get thousands and thousands of views like Mo's stuff did. Dr. Faraj,
Hmm.
he's just killed it. Some of his stuff has had like 100,000 views on my page, and it's just very very quick and catchy, as opposed to slightly longer things. So it's interesting how people's attention span is very very short. I think is the main thing, which is why I think I've started doing these on YouTube as well, because Instagram, I think it's very quick gratification, whereas on YouTube your already mindset is to sit down for a bit longer and watch something.
Absolutely, and also like it depends on like a lot of the audience, and like you said, a lot of audience right now they just want something simple, something short, something easy, quick, and something funny
Mm,
maybe. Those popular that they come out of nowhere. I don't know if you follow like TikTok and stuff like that, but there is this person. His username is Angry Reaction. I don't know if you've
I've not
seen
seen
him,
that.
but he literally even he was mind blown. He literally had like 4 videos where he was just like mad, but mad, but he would react in a positive way. It's like, you're doing good, you're awesome, but he's mad, right?
Yeah,
In 4 videos, he had over 2 million followers, if I'm not mistaken. 2 million followers, just because of the unique and creative content that he created. So a lot of factors play in it, but like I said, one of them that I noticed for sure is the fact that when you have pop-ups really quick for like 1 second, people tend to reread them or scroll and move on. But usually, typically, they like to reread them and they watch the video again, and that's what it adds up to you. And if you multiply that with a lot of people, you will end up having more views.
yeah. It needs to be something shareable, something that people are enjoying enough to share to a friend, or something funny that they can tag in, all
Exactly.
that kind of thing. It's not really my forte, I'll be honest. My my stuff that on my personal account is more on Reels, is like food, or it's
Yeah,
my workouts, because that's the way I'm using keeping the workouts on reels as a way of me actually trying to get some creative angles, um, and also keeping me honest, to make sure that I keep on going. Otherwise, people can call
absolutely.
me out. I mean, no one's really called me out yet because I've kept on going. But the theory is in my head, okay, if I don't post for a few days, people are going to say stop going to the gym, and hopefully someone's going to be like, go to the gym.
Yeah, and I think it's a momentum too, momentum and a habit creating. With the having those kind of. I mean, it's really like if I can stop social media, I would do it with a heartbeat. But I know I can't because there is a lot of potential growth out of it, whether it's financial, whether it's global education, whether it's because to me it's the oral health education in general. It's very poor around the world. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I think it just having something that it's creative, funny, and you will learn at least one thing out of it. I'm happy. If I get one person out of each video that will learn something out of what I have shared, I am happy because then that means that it got across, it got across to some
yeah,
place somewhere in the world that a person learned something out of it. And that's what it is pretty much.
yeah. I think you're right there. I mean, you can't underestimate how, maybe getting something out there in a funny way, uh you can't underestimate how many people it's actually going to affect, because if some young mother has seen that, and she's got 3 or 4 kids or whatever, then that's three young lives that you've potentially just helped out and given a little leg up to, that you'll never know about. And it's crazy that you can now reach so many people without even knowing who's seen it and who's been
Yeah.
helped out by something.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's good to even promote your content. I mean, yeah, it is costing money and dollars, but sometimes you can, I don't know, like a post can be, you can post it for like a day for $1. You know what I mean? As
Have
simple
you
as
found
that.
much use?
And you can share
Have
it
you
with a,
found much kind of
oh,
gain from that? Because
absolutely.
I've not done it because I didn't feel like it was gonna help me in any way. Because a lot of my content is focused towards dentists, so Dentists of Insta is a nice way of pushing that stuff.
I would say 25%, if not 50%. I'm not sure exactly the numbers, but I would approximate between 25 to 50% of my followers were from my promotions worldwide. Because what I do is that I select my interests are obviously depending on the video. If the video is dental related, I will just have a specific category of dental, like teeth, befores and afters, cosmetic dentistry, and stuff like that, and then I share it with the world. What happens, the algorithm with that is that in the beginning, when you have a low amount of followers, your video, even though it's going to cost like $1 for per day, if you want to do it less, the more you spend, the more people you will approach, obviously,
Yeah,
right? But the lower followers you have, the lower amount of people you can approach. Now, here's what the best thing happens. If your video starts to be watched by more people than it's anticipated, for the next video that you share, it will actually add more people, more possible people to reach out to. And yeah, you will get followers for sure. Not the same as a video going viral. Not the same as certain services that you can purchase that will help get your username and password to like other people's comment on other
which is a
people's
bad
posts and
idea,
stuff
by the
like
way,
that,
guys.
which is a bad idea. Absolutely.
I
I
have a
mean,
series of videos
you
talking
build.
about this stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you build your niche and you build all that followers and all that base and all that time on posts. Imagine that person saying like, you know what, I'm gonna delete his account, and you are done. You're literally
Mm.
done. So one of the simple things is that do not ever share your username and password with anyone. You know what I mean?
Also, you can
Um,
get they can delete your account, as an Instagram can,
yes,
if they find out
absolutely.
that that's what you've been doing. And I've seen a number of accounts go. Um, not very recently, but there was a purge like 12 months ago. A bunch of accounts got deleted for doing dodgy stuff. And a whole host of people lost like a couple of million followers and stuff because they'd been buying followers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help because these aren't even real people at the end of the day. So why is the point in buying a fake number to? Because they're not gonna come in and see you as a dentist. So what's the point?
Exactly. It doesn't help at all. I mean, the one thing that I personally struggle with a little bit with my account is the fact that because my followers are from different parts of the world, what happens is that when I post something, for example, in the morning, it's all the way at night to a lot of other followers. So the post gets pushed out in the feed. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So there's a lot of other posts that are going to come after me, so my post will not be shown to a lot of people, which is why it's sometimes a struggle until like I get over like 100 or 200,000 followers. To that point, it's going to be hard to have my content shared a lot. But the thing is, the more you have followers, the more you have likes, the more that content will like the diagram will be like this. It's never like this. It's more like this, pretty much, with the amount of followers. You
Yeah,
know?
I have maybe a different view on how it's actually working these days with the algorithm. It's not
Mm-hmm.
chronological anymore. It's more like a gated system, you know. If you've got 10 friends who always like your stuff, it shows it to the 10 friends first. And then if you have the next 10 or 20 guys who, 90% of the time like your stuff, if those 10 friends already liked it, then it goes, okay, this is a good post, and it sends it to the next little group. And if you get a good percentage of that group, then it shows it to the next group and the next group. And at some point, it
Yeah.
then says, okay, well, a good number of all these people who either always like, sometimes like, or rarely like this guy's post are actually liking this more than often. Then it sends it to hashtags, then it sends it to location, explore page, all these things. And that's kind of how it works in my mind. And I can see that on my own accounts, for different posts, that I can see a certain number. As soon as you hit a certain number, oh, it's like I get a big jump in the number of impressions from hashtag. I get a big jump in different things. So there's definitely a way of like utilizing that. So it's better quality of video, better quality of sound if you've got a sound thing. Nice photographs, uncluttered, nicely edited, all that kind of thing makes a big difference.
Like an important caption, you know what I mean, that
My
is
caption's terrible.
readable. I mean, same here, honestly. I keep it very simple, you know what I mean? I know some people that have like a huge, huge
Same.
post that is like an essay, an, an essay that is basically written, and I'm like, I'm not gonna read this. Or some people totally read it and they like it and comment on it, and I'm like, wow, you read the whole thing,
People do.
the whole
People
thing.
do.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
just haven't got
yep, oh
enough.
yeah.
There's nothing in my mind that I need to say sometimes, but I have a nice photo.
Just take quotes from online and just put them there.
No, recently
um,
for me, it's been brilliant doing all these podcasts because I've got loads and loads of photos, and I can say, oh, here's a cool photo I took, blah blah blah. Another podcast has been uploaded, so that's the reason for the post.
yeah,
So now I've
yeah,
got a ready-made
yeah.
excuse to make the post. Previously, there was just no
Exactly.
caption.
Exactly. And like you said, you're right about targeting certain audience because of how much they're replying to you or how much they're commenting back. Just the same thing as the stories, because the stories also create that kind of like close
Mm,
friends automatically. It's like, oh, this is a close friend because you're actually talking with them a lot, or replying to their content a lot. And it shows those close friends
first.
stories as a green and instead of red,
I know that's
because
if
they
you add
are
them to
the
the
one that.
list, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and but sometimes for me, it sometimes automatically adds them, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how is that happening, but sure,
I was in your own
some
personal close friend list. It's added people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that was happening by itself or something like that, but I usually take that off because I don't want to just focus on certain people that I'm just looking at their stories or replying to them. I want to make sure that I'm looking as much as possible, but sometimes it's hard when you have a lot of
Yeah.
followers to or a lot of following to make sure that you're talking with everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I struggle with that. I mean, there's days where I just won't reply to anything because I just haven't got the mental space to start another conversation.
I get it.
And
I get it. I
yeah,
totally get it.
especially, there'll be times where I've had 40, 50 people, who've sent things in to be posted. I'm not quite at that level now, thankfully, I'm getting through them quite quickly. But there was a time where I had 50 odd people wanting features, and they kept on messaging, when's it my turn, when's it my turn, and the order gets messed up, and there's some guy getting really angry, and you're just like, oh, why am I doing this? I mean, you guys ain't even paying, come on, guys.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, like you're doing it out of literally just to share with everyone. So There shouldn't be people like are like, oh, you have to do it, or like getting angry that that doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Because you're doing a good and putting everyone together, you know what I mean? Like I
Trying,
said at
but
the
I mean,
beginning.
I have tightened up some of the rules recently. You know, I want
Yeah.
people to send a HD quality image. Um, and you know, some people have been angry when I said the picture isn't good enough, which is you know, but the thing is, I know that I've done how many now? Almost 2,000. No, I think it's more than that. Let me check.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next
Not
post
sure
will be
either.
2,000 posts. So I've done 2,000 of
Wow.
these. I kind of know when something's going to do well, or when it's not going to do well. But before I posted it, I know, okay, this one's going to be good. Or, you know, every now and then I get surprised with something that doesn't do well when I thought it was going to do well, or sometimes there's something that did really well and I didn't think it was going to go as well. But 99% of the time, I post this up, go, okay, great, this is going to be fine. So in a way, I have that eye now, not because I've done anything brilliant, because lots of people sent me stuff. So, uh,
Yeah. No, and picture quality is extremely important. I mean, like I'm working with the Genu, the scrub
yeah,
company, like as an ambassador, and I mean, when we are doing posts and stuff like that, we have to make sure that we're going through a different photo selection. You know what I mean? To make sure that it's this angle, that angle, half body, whatever it is, and it's honestly, if anyone gets into photography and starts to post their own pictures and stuff like that, go on YouTube, search something like how to, or even in TikTok, to be honest with you, how to
yeah.
take good photos. You know, it's really simple as that. I sometimes I'm like, oh, I can do that. I didn't know that. You know,
It's
so
not difficult. It
it's
really
as
isn't
simple as that.
difficult. It's just
No.
prior thought to what you're doing. You know, you're not just picking up the camera or in fact, don't pick up your phone. That's the first mistake you'll make if you want a really good picture. Because I mean, yeah, your iPhone can do
Yes.
something good, but you can tell the difference if you go into my profile, for example. You can tell when I stopped using an iPhone, and you can tell when I got lazy and went back to an iPhone. And you can tell when
Yeah.
I got unlazy again and went back to my camera. It maybe doesn't.
I love your photos are amazing. I mean, I see some of the I'm like the quality is ridiculously good. So I like those, you
Yeah,
know. And you're right.
you
You're
you
right.
can tell, and that's the thing. And then it's sometimes, you know, it's not something you can recognize at the forefront of your mind. It's in the back of your mind, and it's just that thing that goes, oh, that's really good, and you don't really know why, but it's because, you know, a bit of care's been taken and someone spent a lot of time framing something. You know, if you're in the surgery and you've cleaned the worktop before, you know, there's taken all the rubbish off the worktop before you took the photo. You know, there's no clutter behind you. That can
Exactly.
give you, it gives me, not quite give me a headache, but I can tell. You know, I see it in some photos, and if you get rid of
Oh
that,
yeah, no, I totally see. I totally know what you're talking about. Because sometimes I'm taking a picture, I'm like, yeah, I need to take that out. I need to take that
mm,
out. Even when we're doing the podcast right now, I'm like, there was some stuff there. I'm like, okay, push that away.
yeah.
So I can do this because
Do
you'll
you
see
know what
other stuff.
annoys
So
me? I don't know if you can see here.
what?
Uh, you can see the top of the radiator just here.
Oh, I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't care about that, but I totally get your point, though. That's my OCD kicking in
It
too.
annoys me because, you know, I've got a nice camera now. Well, big shout out to the Patreon group, the guys who support me on all this equipment and stuff. But that's something that I can't move unless I move into a, you know, move it higher, but then I'll be too low, and then the vibe sign will be the wrong height. You know, all these things that I see in my head. Hopefully no one else is really noticing them. Hopefully they'll
Yeah,
gloss over this part. Uh,
yeah, it's rarely seen, to be
but
honest.
I would like to have
Rarely
like a
seen.
shelf there, a little front, and then I can put some like something like this here.
There
Some
you
of
go. Yeah, yeah.
my lenses and stuff like that, or maybe like a skull, one of the skulls with
Oh,
the
there you
colored
go.
skulls, you know, with the different bones and stuff colored in.
I will. I like that. I like that.
That's the idea, you know, because again, it's something that you're not thinking about, but it's in the background, and it's there, and you don't really piece it together until afterwards.
I
Mm,
agree. I agree. And I think that's what they say also, like when you're taking a picture to there is a reason why there is a grid usually of nice squares on when you take a picture on iPhones, is that they tell you to never center yourself in the middle of the picture. Always put it on one of the angles or one of the dots of the nice squares, because that's where the picture becomes more professional. It will look more
Yeah, there's
professional. You know what
different
I
ways
mean?
of doing, if you're trying to do something a little bit different, then sometimes you are going to be in the center if you're trying to be more dramatic or something, but you can be
Exactly.
further away and you can take it from the low angle. There was a really, if there's a really high building behind you, like CN Tower if you're in Toronto or something, and then you can get the two lines of the road, uh,
Yeah.
pour some water, have a bottle of water, pour it on the floor,
Oh yeah. The
turn it
reflection.
upside down, and then oh, that'll be perfect.
That'll be beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I'm expecting a photo like that soon from you, doctor.
If lockdown ever ends and I leave the house again, then we'll have some ideas.
That's yeah. That'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So you're quite into your cameras then.
Not. I actually had a DSLR. I sold it because I was getting my iPhone
Oh
upgraded every
no.
year. So I noticed that when I travel like different states or internationally, that carrying that DSLR can be a really big struggle, especially when we are walking a lot. It can be
You
a
want
bit of weight.
mirrorless. Mirrorless
Um,
is the way forward.
oh, okay.
I
So
can't show you it because
what do you mean?
it's on there, and we're
Uh huh.
recording with it. But if I show you this is the one I use for work. So I've got the micro. Where's the macro lens? The macro lens is the one that we use in dentistry. So let me
Yes.
show you,
Yes.
which is huge.
Hmm.
We're going very nicely off topic. I like this. It's big. It's
That's
big.
good, man.
And just this part of the thing, so if I take it off,
Hmm.
cap it up again. Just the body is quite big as well. So my
Exactly.
mirrorless is at least half the footprint of this. And
Gotcha.
you can see the quality on in the video. This is the one that I'm using right
That's
now.
amazing. Yeah. If you
So
can send me a link for this, that'll be great.
yeah. I mean, it's one that I think all the pros are starting to use mirrorless now because they're much more lightweight. You still have to have the lenses though, so that is a
Yeah,
consideration.
which is usually the lens is more expensive than the body itself.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
they're expensive.
Especially the macro lenses because it's so like focused and everything like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
they're unfortunately quite. It's not a cheap hobby, which is sad because it's a very fulfilling thing to do because you can go for a walk. On even on your own, although you'll never get a picture of yourself, which is annoying,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
you have a tripod and a timer and a little button.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, you can. Some of them has it. Yeah, some of them have timers in them too. So you just have to really
yeah, but
run
you have
and
to
angle
run.
yourself and everything. So
You're better off having a quick shutter speed, where it'll take 10 or 15 in a go,
that's true.
and having a remote timer. So on a 5-second timer, you click
Yeah.
it, stick it in your pocket, and then do the little movement back and forth in the area that you want to
Exactly.
be, and then it kind of looks like someone else took it.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
So
I
yeah,
agree with you.
but the mirrorless ones are much lighter, and it's kind of where a lot of the pros are going, because there's stuff like the 1DX Mark II, which is
Hmm.
massive. It's twice the size
Yeah.
of the camera that I've got now. It is incredible camera, but it weighs 2-3 kilograms.
They probably use it for soccer too, for football. Like
I
always
think
sitting
some
there.
of them do, yeah, and they're
Ridiculous.
huge pro level cameras. And now you get these in halfway houses where it's called mirrorless. A Sony A7 is the one that most people use now. So you
What
can
is
check.
it?
It's called Sony A7, the one that most people
Oh,
use now,
27. Okay.
which is the one that's probably the one you want to have a look at. They're really good. Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I use all mine now. But yeah, I think I've taken up a lot of your time, man. We've
No, it's all good. I'm glad we got to know each other a little bit more and share some different topics. That was really awesome, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm
very
hoping some people get some things out of it, you
really
know.
nice to get to know you. It's almost been 2 hours. We've just hit 1 hour 45. So,
That's awesome.
uh, huge thanks for you to coming on. Obviously, hopefully we'll see more and more videos from you, and we'll see some more interesting stuff coming out. I think you've got your green screen ready, so I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what's happening.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you for coming on, guys. That's been Dr. Mo, aka
Thank you, Dr.
Singodontist.
Kazi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kazi, again, and hopefully we can do part 2 soon.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to do 4 or 5 of these a week, so I'm always free. So the guys, if you're interested in coming on the podcast, give me a shout on Instagram, and we'll try and arrange something. Secondly, big shout out first of all to Dr. Mo. Make sure you go follow him. You're on Instagram. You're on TikTok. Anywhere else?
YouTube, all at
Everywhere.
Singodontist.
All at Singodontist, which is you can see on screen, guys. Secondly, big shout out again to the kind of sponsors of this podcast, which is the guys in the Patreon group, which are just people like you or me who like what I'm doing and are helping me out by chipping in the price of a Starbucks essentially a month. And I'm hopefully giving you guys, well, I am giving the guys who join up a bunch of nice little perks, you know, skipping the queue on Dense of Insta. You can also share your cases, which no one else is allowed to do, which is arbitrary, but you know, that's it. That's how it goes.
Right.
If you're in the slightly higher tier, you also get one-on-one Instagram tutorials with me, how to blow up your profile and get patients in the door, all that kind of thing. So if you're interested in enjoying the stuff I'm doing, check out the link in the bio to that as well. But once again, big thanks to Dr. Mo. It's been great speaking to you, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it again.
All right, see you later, guys.
Have a good weekend. See you later.
Okay, I've ended the stream.